darn thing's recording this time. There we go. All right, see ya. Thank you. Double, triple checking that this darn thing's recording. Yes.
All right, Eli, on you. These are all together, so you can all give them to each other.
And then Dr. He printed them out.
Yes. Hopefully, let me double check.
Yeah, well, that's what
He went to go get them?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't sure if he said them, so I could go get them. I don't think so.
The one thing is, the worksheets themselves don't have the poem on it.
I put it on here.
Excellent.
That was one of my questions. He and Mrs. Human and I were all furiously texting about what we did and what we did have. So, you got it. I might go ahead and put your name on the board.
Okay.
It's Lyle or Lyle?
Live.
Oh, they're hidden behind the. Oh, that'll work.
I'm teaching today, so it doesn't matter if I get sick tomorrow.
Did you get what?
Sick tomorrow.
Damn. Cameron just goes on the floor, dude.
That's what he gets for not showing up.
Wow, you really want like, wow.
You can have your name. No, wait, actually, I think
That's how it has to be.
No, you can keep your own name.
Where is door?
You do have it. Okay. Why do you want to? Do we have it already?
Yeah. And that's what we.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
I'll take that as a compliment. I don't care what you would do. You would fail this class.
What?
It is.
So because in his class, there's 6 well, I think he'll be the best grade. Sorry, 6 girls.
I can make that happen. This class is smaller. And I did it wrong the other day, so it's a good chance for me to be able to count to 6.
And then as far as, I mean, obviously I'll be using this, but for switching back and forth, will I be using that laptop? Like to get to that and then the other?
The other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Here, hold on here.
Correct, but I'm just wondering, do you want me to navigate through that laptop or?
Yes.
Okay. It's good for him, he had like a track tab.
Cut this one. Yeah, sorry. My bad. Or I do have an iPad if you want to hold it in your hand. But it was the iPad.
Yeah, there was no homework.
there's just like 4 seconds.
But if you want to be able to go around.
Nah. I mean, this is Ross, right? You'll be perfectly fine.
So, here, I was going to show you. So what I have set up is if you go to the right corner, then you can just put that here and it'll be on top, right? So like you have it like that. Go there.
What do you think?
So that was the real bell, right? Yeah, not the halfway bell. So hi everybody! Good afternoon, how are we doing?
Thank you.
Oh no! What'd you forget?
I wrote a thing about the last one. Did I do like this morning?
Yeah. Oh, if you guys want to be, we don't have the whole crew today, so you want to sit in your regular seats, you can. Thank you for moving, though. I appreciate it. So today's a little bit of a switch. When, if you looked at the agenda on Canvas, if you talked to anybody in third and fourth period, or if you were listening very attentively, I had told you that we were not going to have a guest lecturer today. But look, surprise, we do. And so you didn't have any annotations to do, okay? You're gonna try this with the poem cold. We're gonna see how we do. It'll be super fun. So since we're doing that, I want to go ahead and grab your Chromebooks because I want you to open Canvas for me. Canvas, you have an assignment titled Victorian Sonnets, an echo from Willowwood, classwork. So go ahead and make your way there. Victorian Sonnets, an echo from Willowwood, classwork. Make your way there on your Chromebook. What you notice is that I have the copy of the poem here so that you can read the poem. I have a link that you're going to need for later in class. And if you're really desperate to do the packet, I did put a link to the packet down here in case there's something you would like out of it. But you don't have to fill out the packet, okay? All you really need is the poem and the link. And if you look closely, I put it in as 0 points because I'm going to give, don't tell third and fourth periods, okay? Shh, we're sorry. I'm going to give you extra credit. Sorry, Misha. Misha's in third period too. But I'm going to give you extra credit for like rolling with the punches. This was not what we had planned for today. So, so make sure that you do all your stuff, okay? But that's why it says 0 points. All right, so then you are still going to do the survey tonight. And that does mean that you need to do the annotations for, if I leave all for thee, tonight. Okay, third and fourth period worked on those in class. You're not getting that time, sorry, but you are getting extra credit. So,
I think that's a fair trade.
it balances out, I think. Okay? Questions, comments from me? So we're gonna do our survey, we're gonna do our annotations just like we've been doing. All right, folks, this is Mr. Lyle. Sorry, I was gonna say Lyle again. All right, Mr. Lyle, and he's gonna be leading our class today. Let's make him feel welcome. Okay, do you have any groups now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, so we're going to be getting into groups, or 6 groups, which
Yes.
she has organized for us.
So I didn't do very well the other day, so I have to do better. And I ran out of time to think about it. Okay. If we did, what do we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I really ran out of time to think about it. Do you guys want to fill in so we can do 4s? Can we fill in the 3 of you? Can we fill in these empty desks? And then we'll just have like 2 super groups on this side. Can we make that happen? Yeah. Would you like them to move into super groups right now?
Ideally, yes.
Okay. So move your desks. This side of the room, we're going to do tables of 4, just like normal. Okay. This side of the room, how many are here? 6 and 6. I'm really good at math. So make tables for me. Make a table. Make a table. Brian's trying to join the wrong room. You're messing up the table.
He's like both groups. Yeah.
All right, but let's make the math pretty. Oh, I guess there's only 5 and 6, so the math doesn't work either way. All right, Brian, if you want to be Mr. Complete, it doesn't matter to me.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'll wait for everyone to just get into our groups. Wait for all the desks to be situated.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So, as we have heard, the poem we have read, or normally we would have read it last night. There was a little hiccup in the last class where my phone did not record. So we're gonna fly a little bit by the seat of our pants today, but I think it's gonna be okay. So the poem we have today is going to be An Echo from Willowwood by Christina Rossetti. Would anyone like to help me read this poem right now? Maybe just 4 lines at a time. Anyone like to read the first 4? Yes.
Okay. 2 gazed into a pool, he gazed and she, not hand in hand, yet heart in heart, at pale face on water street. As on the brink of a party.
Excellent. All right. Next 4. Yes.
Each eyed the other's aspect, shooting
All right, next person. Let's see, anyone from this back group that can help me out?
You had a hand.
Oh, had a hand over here? Oh, I totally missed it. Thank you, Noah.
Lilies upon the service below, two physical basis each for each, resolute, and one to be found. Seven or four as well. One moment is going to end out of these ones going to on.
All right, thank you so much. All right, now that we've sort of, we've read through it, not to say we've fully understood it by any means, because you're never going to on the first read through. But as we continue on reading and thinking about this poem, by the end of class, ideally, we would like to be able to find out how poets use sensory details to create tone, emotion, and meaning. And we're also going to be writing a strong thematic statement by the end, and then backing that up with quotations from the poem. And we'll get into this a little more later, but it's really easy to read a poem and feel a certain way about it, but we don't always know exactly what made us feel that way and what line really stood out to us. So that's what we'll be getting into today. So even just after this initial first read, what sort of emotions were we feeling about this poem? What specific lines stood out to us? What things are confusing right now? So feel free to just think it over for about 10-15 seconds just to yourself. And then afterwards we'll be pairing with our shoulder partners and then sharing with one another. So I'll just give us about 10 or so seconds right now, and then we'll get this timer started. All right, it sounds like a lot of us are starting to share, so I'll go ahead and start that timer for us. So what are some of our thoughts? So what are we thinking of here so what about those lines is kind of what does it make us feel?
I learned how to whistle like
Yeah, and then you keep whistling in my ear.
I'll stop.
Sorry. Sorry, I didn't get it first. The other there's this connection. Maybe you're considering, exactly right. I mean, because they're together, but maybe they're not fully together. What are our thoughts over here so far? And what are they? Is the relationship good? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Are there any? 1, 2, 3. Eyes on me. Thank you so much. All right. So we've of course already shared right now. What were some of our takeaways so far? How was it making us feel? Anyone on this side of the room? Any specific line that stood out? Any feeling that made us feel? Yes. Sarah.
The line where it said, each tasted bitterness with both must drink. Using the word must, it's almost like they wouldn't want to drink it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we even have the word reluctance that we use later. Great find. There's, yeah, absolutely. Anyone over here? And we have some good thoughts. Maybe not comfortable sharing right now? That's fine. All right. Anyone over here? I know Juliana had some good thoughts going on. Or, sorry, Jack, Will Jack. You guys are both talking. Okay, yeah. So what does that make you think about or feel as the heart is leaping up and singing? Yeah, right. Like there was some elation, but now there's something making that heart sing. Totally. All right. So, oops. All right. So what we want to talk about today is emotion, specifically in poetry. It's why a lot of my questions to you have been about emotion. It's interesting, when you read a poem, oftentimes we don't exactly know what the specifics of it mean. I'm sorry if that table in the back could listen up real quick. So we often we can read a poem and we feel these emotions, right? We might feel sadness, we might feel love, we might feel connection, we might feel all these things, but we don't always know why we feel that way. Same thing with a song, right? You can hear a song, and I don't necessarily know what all of the lyrics were about, but I can still get a general feeling of it, right? The feelings kind of speak first before the meaning. And one of the ways that poets do this is through imagery, and that's going to be through the five senses. Do any of us remember kind of what those five senses are? If I could just get the few people listening one of them for me. Yes. Smell, great one. Yes. Taste, perfect. Touch. Sight. Let's see, there was one more, I believe. Sound of hearing, perfect. All right, yeah, and we might not always, understand every line in the first read, like I said, but we can still feel it through a lot of this imagery, right? It connects back to the specific words and phrases that we're reading. All right. So last night you were not asked to paraphrase or rewrite a poem, but we will be doing so now. So on Canvas, you do have another slide. So, the two-finger touch has not been working out.
Go up to the right-hand corner. It's just a gesture.
Yes.
That's all.
On Canvas, we do have yes. So I see it open over here for some of us, right? So let's make sure we go onto the Canvas and pull that up. All right. On this assignment, everyone is going to be in your table groups. So I'm going to go ahead and number you guys off real quick. So you guys will be table 1. You guys will be table 2. This is going to be 3, 4. You guys in the back. 5 and 6. So each one is going to go to your respective slides. You're going to just look at those 2 sentences, just those 2 lines in those groups. We're just going to work on paraphrasing, because poetry is difficult to understand. So how can we translate it into words that we do know? And that we do understand it's a little less flowery than a lot of poetry. So right now, we're just going to try to come to a agreement, working together with one another, and we'll have about 10 minutes to do so.
Yeah, so if you go all the way to the corner, just take your fingers.
I was going for the word. And
Sarah has a question.
yes, Sarah. Was the top shedding revealed? That is unfortunate. Okay, let's still try to fix that. Like I said, we're going to have some extra hands today because it was not designed to be like that.
Is that something I need to fix?
Potentially, because it's under view only right now.
Oh, I can do that.
Sorry about that, everyone. Are you able to do it over there?
I got it.
Okay, perfect.
You should be able to edit now.
All right, now everyone's on the end. Thank you so much for making this.
So you don't need to do that. Just in case you wanted it, because that's what you're gonna do. So you're just paraphrasing what you're saying. You're paraphrasing.
It's really weird.
Yeah, there's this, yeah, rather than, because I mean, it's so, it is kind of like, what's it? What is it?
Am I on the right one? Yeah, we were.
Yeah. What, yeah?
Good job, Kate. Two people left to go to pool.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. I love it so far.
But it's not as more emotional. Good job, Chris.
Perfect. I love it. And speaking of those strong feelings of love, right? Like what's specific about those, feelings? Like are they positive or negative? It's kind of both. I mean, there's this sense, right, where it's sleeping up, which is good, and then there's a sleeping down. Yeah, that's part of it. Honestly, you guys, because I just taught this earlier today, and you guys have honestly pretty much matched, if not beaten, the pace of the class I was teaching earlier. So, congratulations, everyone. Very impressed with all of our answers so far. We're gonna go ahead, because I think a lot of us are just about done. We're gonna go ahead and move on.
Oh, wow. Richie, stop, please.
So let's see. So for group one, what was our sort of takeaway? What was our main? What was our translation? If we just show them the slides. Yes. Would you mind speaking just a little bit louder so everyone can hear you? Yeah, absolutely. Right, they're both looking at each other, feeling strong feelings of love. And I will ask that everyone, while somebody's sharing, please let's keep it down. Let's be respectful of one another. All right, for table two. So table. My bad. Oh my gosh. We had different numbers last week. Sorry, this is table one over here.
Yeah. All right. We wrote two people left into a pool. They were physically separate, but not emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a very literal translation, but one that's very necessary, right? That they are looking into this pool, but there's this physical, this separation between the two. It is physical. That'll come up later. For us over here, table two. Yeah, perfect, right? They're like, they know they have to, but yeah, they're scared right now. They don't really want to separate. That's great. Sorry, back to this table over here. Can't escape from too long.
So we put,
Let's see. And we'll ask that we all just settle down real quick while everyone else is sharing. I'm sorry, would you mind repeating that? Yeah, totally, right? They're on this brink of separation, right? They're about to divide. They do feel that sadness. Absolutely. Chris over here. Yeah, right. There's hesitation they're feeling, like you say, right? Being held back. Absolutely. All right, and finally for us over here.
For the transition.
Yes.
You said that sudden waves in the water made the two lovers' reflections or lives meet, and just as fast as the moment came, the moment passed, and so did their love for each other.
I love that. That's even my favorite lines myself, right? We've got their reflected image, in the pool, and just like you said, right, they're kind of clashing into each other, right? They're mixing for a time, and then they're kind of gonna dissipate. So I love that you pointed that out. All right. So now we've just So we've just talked about a lot of these lines, what they mean, and some of what they even make us feel. So again, imagery that we've just been looking at is this descriptive language. That's going to, again, appeal to the 5 sentences. But why does this matter? Right? Imagery is going to evoke emotion, and that means to kind of bring about, right? It's going to make us feel this emotion. It sets a mood, and it also helps us get to the theme, which is going to be part of the final assessment of a lot of these assignments, right? We're trying to think, how do we get these elements, and not only just identify it, because I mean, anyone can look at something and be like, that's an image, but like, why does it matter, right? Why do we need to learn this? And that's because on the assessment, we're going to think, how do all of these elements help us get to the theme? So yeah, when we first read a poem, we're not always going to know what it means. We've done an amazing job so far. But yeah, we're really thinking about a lot of these ideas, right? What does it make this theme? Or think, and that's a great starting point, so that poetry's not so, it's difficult to understand, it's not so intimidating, right? As long as we can just start off with, hey, it makes me feel this way, that's a great start. So, how do we move from this observation, right, to the interpretation? Well, when we explain how or why a specific image evokes a certain feeling, message, or idea. So, some of the questions we can ask ourselves, we're gonna be like, what specific words or images spark that feeling, right? I mean, we're, again, looking at the rippling of the waves, right? How that's making us feel. Amazing image right there. Which senses is the poem activating? And then what is the deeper message or the theme that's kind of hiding in that emotion, right? Because this theme statement is not just, sadness, but it's like, what is it saying about sadness? What is this universal truth about sadness? So we want to be able to take those observations and turn them into the theme. All right, so forgot to hand this out. I'm going to hand out some of these sensory image charts for us. We're going to be working on these in groups, and what we're going to be doing right now is we are going, actually no, hold on, this is later. My apologies. Little scrap of the day. I will still continue to hand this out though. And yeah, so the sensory image chart is what we're going to be working on. One example, this is going to be from a different poem actually, which is Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. But here we have this idea, right? This is dead. Or no, maybe it's not dead. I don't know. The laser pointer is not working for me, but 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. Right? So in that, right, sight is one example of one of the emotions we have, or senses we have being used here, where we have 2 roads diverging in a yellow wood, right? So there's this image, right, where we've got these 2 forking roads, and I could go left, I could go right, and it's, that kind of makes us, maybe thoughtful, and there's this uncertainty there, right? It's like, kind of where are these going to take us? And that's really through the why, right? Like, why is it when I look at 2 different, paths diverging, why am I feeling some of this uncertainness, maybe even stillness here, right? That's because the image of 2 paths splitting, like in a yellow forest, it shows the speaker literally and figuratively at a crossroads, right? And that's why we even use that term, a crossroads, right? Where I could make this decision or I could make that decision. And it's kind of that uncertainty, which is the right one. And then even here, like the color yellow, that might even evoke ideas of fall, of autumn, which is this time of change, where all the leaves are going from green to, yellow, orange, and then to brown. So there is this time of kind of upheaval, right? That even just him looking at 2 roads in a forest, he's like, man, I don't know which one to choose. So that's just an example of how we can look at just 2 roads diverging, and it's like, wow, this author's really trying to tell me something about even just life, right? That it's something about, man, decision making and, missed opportunities and all of that. So right now what we're going to do is I'm going to continue handing out these charts for us, and we're going to do that same activity where we're going to read through the poem, And we're gonna consider, hey, what are some examples of taste, of touch, of smell, of hearing? And we're not necessarily going to find everything, though I encourage you to do so. In my last period, I actually had some great examples of smell that I hadn't even considered myself. I'll continue to hand these out. And as I continue to hand these out, do you have any questions so far about what we're going to be doing? No, feel like we're pretty confident in filling this out with the 5 senses? Thank you. All right, you're welcome. I'm going to go ahead and start this timer for us. I hand up this blue paper, but we're not going to work on it. It's gotta be later. You're welcome. Oh. You're welcome. Are you ready to move? Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm just handing these out for now. We're not going to work on it. You're welcome. I'm just handing these out right now. We're not quite going to work on them yet. Something goes wrong. And I'm going to be handing this out. We're not quite going to work on this one quite yet. We're going to keep working on this yellow one. How are we doing so far? Will identify any dissensions going on so far?
I don't know if it's
Oh, we have We're getting over here so far. sense of like wetness, grass, or light. Yeah, probably.
What emotions do you feel from working on this?
You find a lot of the kind of examples of imagery, and I love that. I'd also encourage you to consider some of the emotions, right? Where we're looking at the ripple, we're looking at, we say like gazing into it, kind of what, and then, because we want to do is we want to identify that, that's awesome. And then to take that and think, well, how do I feel about this? Like, what does this mean? Kind of, what does it seem like? Yeah, but I love when we have something. You have gaze there as like a site, but if we're thinking of like emotions, right, as you see these people looking at themselves in the water, like how would that be? Where do you see that in the
Whenever I look at the water, I'll just go to the walls.
okay. Maybe when you say neutral emotion, maybe there's a peacefulness. Something like that.
It's not my fault.
But I'd like us to also kind of work it out and think, so we've got the ripples, we've got, gaze, we've got, the taste of bitterness, but you can think of like, what is the emotion that makes us feel? What is the bitterness make you feel? What is the gazing into the water? And as we keep working, if we find that we have a lot of lines or words that show imagery, but we haven't quite looked at the emotion or the why aspects, let's make sure we do so with that. When I first read it, I didn't think of
Both. And I'm like over it.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of hard. Like, we wanted to include them just in case people could pick them up, but we don't have to do it. For the challenge. See, all right. So we've got about 30 seconds left. So we want to wrap up some of those ideas we're working on. What does it make you feel to see someone in pain?
I feel like I don't really feel anything when I think about the word gates or fail.
Maybe even what are the characters thinking? How are they feeling if they feel pain?
Maybe like
Yeah, maybe something like that. All right, everyone. So let's reconvene together. If we want to reconvene together real quick. Thank you so much. All right. So group one, what were some of the senses that we felt like we found? Sight. Okay. And which one did you choose? Gaze. Okay. Yeah. And how did it make you feel? Yeah, totally, right? I mean, they've got kind of all these feelings and all this going on, but yeah, they're just kind of looking at their reflections. They're not even looking at each other. They're looking at the reflections. That's great. There is this emptiness, this longing, right, that we're talking about in the poem. For group two, what do we got? So?
Smell.
Okay.
Or I said the one on the lilies upon the surface,
Mhm.
because I was thinking about how you think you would smell them and you would smell nice and they're losing into the water of the reflection, but the lilies are on the surface. It seems like they want that good thing dwelling.
Mm.
Or, reflecting down on it, but I would feel like I think that a lily would be a nice sounding one. But
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's some aspect of the lily being on the reflection that makes it kind of other. I love that. Yeah, and you're right. Right here, it's this pleasant smell, this nice feeling that, I mean, certainly we've got other stuff also going on, but there's a sense of calm, of peace, right, that comes from the smell. I love that. Right, first over here. Okay. Yeah, right. I mean, especially, if we want to play down just a little bit, when we're thinking about love, right? Like, what do we want love to be, right? If I'm thinking of like a taste that I want love to be, what am I gonna think of? Probably not sweet. Yeah, right. I want love to be sweet. Some people might want spicy, but I want it to be sweet. But instead, it's supposed to be bitter, right? And nobody wants their love to be described as bitter because that's generally unpleasant. Right? It's not great in your stomach. So yeah, perfect. Right? So there's something about this love that is bitter, right? Something about this experience that is bitter. Right? I love that. Right? First over here.
For lunch, I did want not end on the hard part because I can't able to hold anyone, but right able to hold anyone. So like imagine holding anyone.
Yeah, exactly. By specifically targeting this lack of touch, right? Where like we want to touch, like it's like, oh, we're almost touching. There's almost like this thing, like magnets, but instead of the magnets that attract, they're kind of dividing us and keeping us at bay. Yeah, absolutely. Chris over here. Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, we've got this scene with two lovers, but like you say, right, there's no sound. It's quiet. There's not this interaction going on, but there's something else. So I love that, right? And for us over here, last but not least.
I did those sounds, and I chose the line of each felt 100 heartbeat in sync. I read it again, and that's talking about the heartbeats, that each one heard the other's heartbeat, and that it was craving the other person hungering.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. Yeah, I mean, it could be, right, the elevation of heartbeat. That could be it. You're right, that's dunk, 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 right? It's kind of rising with that. Or it could also be kind of this, maybe like elation balanced with like a heart, like being depressed, right? If we're thinking like a raffle ticket, I don't know if you guys still do those in schools anymore, but when the teacher's reading off the raffle number, and it's like, that's my number, that's my number, that's my number, that's my number. Oh, I have 5 and 4, right? and then you don't win the thing that you wanted, it becomes like $5 anyway. But right, there's this idea of elation and then collapse. But I also like your perspective on it, that it might be, right? That they can almost like hear each other's parts. That's another totally valid interpretation of it. All right, so now that we've looked at a lot of the imagery and how it's making us feel, we also want to look at how does this lead to theme? Because that's the ultimate objective. If we wouldn't mind settling down just a little bit in the back, thank you. All right, so each image in a poem is going to be chosen for a purpose. I'm sorry if you wouldn't mind just a little bit. Thank you so much. So when authors are writing poems, they're not just kind of throwing words in there willy-nilly, right? And especially for poetry, there is an economy to them where they only have so many words. So everyone needs to be there. So each image in a poem is chosen for a very specific purpose, and that's so that the poem can make us feel what they want us to feel, and ultimately think of the theme that they want us to think about. So some of the questions to ask ourselves for this are like, what message is the poet sending through these images? And then how do these repeated emotions, because we're seeing a lot of repetition as we're talking about these various elements, how do these emotions and patterns like build towards some bigger idea? So with that, what we want to do is take what we've just done on the previous, in that graphic organizer, and we want to consider the thematic topic, right? We're talking about potential, like love was something that was there. Separation was something we were all talking about. This sense of emptiness that we were talking about. But of course, that's not a theme in itself, right? We want to write a theme statement. What is it saying about love? What is it saying about loneliness? What is it saying about just all these various things we're talking about? So together with your groups on that blue sheet of paper now, just on those first 2 lines, let's work on developing a thematic statement. That's specifically going to be, what is the author trying to tell us about the world? Right, not just about the scene or the characters, but what is the universal concept that the author is trying to express? So we'll have maybe about 5 minutes. We're a little low on time today, so I'm going to cut it a bit short. But can't begin. But before we get going too much, does anyone have any questions about what we're doing? Questions about what we're trying to write? Doing all right? Okay, begin. I love even just the use of a sentence framework, right? Where you're just starting to write something, and from that you can very easily add to it.
The class is at 141, right? So you definitely don't have that.
Yeah, I mean, gives it a little sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just- So what are some of the, so far, right? You've looked at the images you got. What are some of those that were, say, presented so far? Just to kind of get the juices flowing. Yeah, because we're thinking of like how these emotions are leading to. So even just like what are these things we've been talking about? Right, so that would be a part of the theme. So what is the poem trying to say?
to say, what was it trying to say about missing somebody? Right, because you would miss somebody because there's some separation. What was it trying to say about
Which is your
So we looked at some of the other things. There's something about bitterness. We also looked at separation. As we kind of looked at that graphic organized kind of what we got out of it, we kind of tied a lot of those elements together. So something about love, something about separation, something about the silence that we talked about. And we were kind of take those different elements and synthesize them. All right, so unfortunately we are a little pressed for time today, so we don't quite have time to keep going. But before we leave, would anyone mind sharing their thematic statement with me so far? Yes. Sure. Yeah, life naturally changes. All right, well, thank you all so much for having me today. Before we leave, yeah, if you would like to take us back forward. Thank you so much.
So yeah, if you have time to move the desk, that's great. If you have to go, then go. Put those name tags on the front desk, and Mr. Lyle will take your handouts. And he will take them as you go out the door.
I have a search trip. I'm going to El Salvador, so I'm gonna be gone.
How dare you? You're leaving me? This is rude.
So on Friday, I'm here, and then I'll be back on Thursday. So what am I missing?
You're gonna miss the last guest lecture. You're gonna miss the sonic test. So we'll do that when you come back. And then we're gonna review the second. Thursday we'll start. So I think it's chapters 1 and 2. So you can take it on the plane.
The test?
No, take your book.
Oh yeah, I'll read
Read
it. Yeah,
chapters
yeah.
1 and 2.
Okay.
Grab your book the second and remember something.
Yeah. I remember to do it. Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Have fun.
That should be fun.
Don't drown.
No, the water's like 86.
Ooh.
So it should be safe.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thank you so much.
How was track history, Richie?
Great yours in both grade schools.
Nice. That's your last one, right?
Yeah, what sports are your kids gonna do?
I don't know. They're only 10 and 6, so we'll see.
So like, but still like,
Like,
I'm gonna, my final on Friday, I got qualified.
oh, good. Congratulations.
I'm gonna turn these papers in person.
My niece apparently won the fresh soft high jump.
Wow, really? And lost out at
Yeah.
Newport Harbor.
No, at Los Al.
Yeah.
Oh,
But like,
that
they were
means
at Newport
something.
Harbor, everybody was at Newport
Oh,
Harbor.
okay.
Yeah, but she goes to Los Angeles.
I'll assume Los Al is just as intimidating as they were when I was in
I
high school.
think so. Richie
like-
probably has a better idea.
So like, would you send your kids here or
I
Los Angeles?
I don't know. I don't live in Los Al's district.
So like, which would you rather send your kids to, here or Los Angeles?
Well, I can't send my kids to Los Al. That's what I'm saying. I don't.
Which
live
one? Would you rather send your kids here or Los Angeles? It's a would you rather.
there. Okay, but I don't know.